To call the human ship cramped was an understatement. The humans built their ships with pure utility in mind, and she hated it, which meant her nephew was seething in discomfort. Her people's preferences for luxury and spacious living areas meant the corridors were wide, and each room was larger than necessary. Her nephew, however, had decided to arrive with his fleet, but was the more honourable of her sister's children and agreed to parley. She found that fact unnerving, as he has absolute fervour for the Empire, and his known temperament for those he deems lesser, which was everyone, because he is a prince. Meeting these primates was also different, not in their design, but in their mannerisms. They acted with confidence and control, and every action was done with precision and efficiency. Nothing like other primate fraus her empire raised in the past. This whole situation still felt completely in their control. With her nephew's fleet, the primates were outnumbered and outgunned, but still, this meeting on one of their frigates in the dead space between both forces felt like a trap.
Valstrium, remember, they have threatened to destroy the throne world,
she whispered to her nephew, feeling like they were still watched, even in the empty briefing room. Her nephew looks at her with a small note of disdain.
Relax, Auntie. They are skilled, and their ship is impressive, if not claustrophobic, but I have yet to see any tech level superior to the developments of the Limax fraus. You don't believe their threats? She asked, confused.
Of course not. What battle frau race would stay their hand? Her nephew says back. Then the door opens, and a primate she recognizes as Admiral Kenji Watanabe, the leader of the human fleet, walks in and speaks with an unhappy tone. Humanity is not in the habit of killing civilians, Prince Valstrium Volunjulamen Kiorsmas. I must say I am unsurprised and unhappy that our request for an envoy to come alone was ignored, but here you are, nevertheless. The human gestured to a chair. Sit, and we will get this over with. She shifted into a chair beside her nephew. Its design was made with knowledge of her people's anatomy in mind, as there was room for her tail to rest comfortably. Her eyes studied this Kenji up close, and she could see the subracial divides the file on them spoke of. He was a bit shorter than the other human she saw while being escorted to the briefing room, and his eyes were a bit thinner, if that was possible. But the thing the Hells didn't show was how defined his muscle mass was, despite the uniform and flight suit under it. She could see the toned muscularity of a warrior.
So, in the terms you wanted, you asked a 300 light-year bubble around Earth as yours, and for us to agree to a 1,000 Earth-years peace and non-aggression treaty.
Her nephew spoke slowly, entering the negotiation styling of her empire. Deals are made slowly, and with carefully made small moves to poke and push your position. That is non-negotiable, Kenji said with a harsh tone, his eyes watching her nephew like a predator stalking its prey. Something that sent a chill down her spine. I am afraid it must be. See, we have 5, well... Her nephew started, but was cut off. 5 worlds with seeded races. The Trix, the Kyle, the Bauer, the Quattle, and the Cool. We know, and will be taking stewardship of them too as part of the Lightyear bubble, Kenji said, his hands resting on the table, fingers interlaced. Her eyes snapped to her nephew as she heard his low growl. He doesn't like being cut off, or being told things like it's not an option to be changed.
Careful, primate. We can always go back to shooting each other, her nephew said, with a note of malice in his tone.
The name is Kenji, and if you are going to sit there and try to make this deal more favourable for your empire, you are sorely mistaken, Kenji says quickly, his eyes narrowing a bit as he glares at the Imperial Prince. I have given the orders to destroy this ship with a press of a button and launch an antimatter bomb into the core of your throne world star. And before you ask, It's amazing how far you can push an FTL device when you disable the safety features. He says again, with that cold and calculated tone he made this threat with before. Madman! Her nephew roared, jumping to his feet. You would doom your space sector too! No, because we aren't launching from inside the disk of our galaxy. We will be firing from above, or below. It's hard to tell with 360-degree combat space, Kenji says back with a hateful grin. Now sit down, shut up and listen, he adds, his tone and voice radiating the sheer willpower to devastate a space sector for some reason. Kenji. She speaks a bit out of order, her mind trying to piece together why he was the leader, and why he hates them so much to go to such lengths. Why are you offering us a chance for peace? Surely you would have done away with it if you got this far. Kenji shifted, leaning back. My family was from Tokyo, he said, but added as they seemed confused. Tokyo was the name of the city, the first of your kind raised on Earth when he came to collect us. He saw that our world was in a state of peace and harmony, which was unacceptable to him. He launched an indiscriminate attack on our most prosperous and peaceful city to try and humble us. My whole family died because of him, and your empire's stupidity and arrogance. His tone is cold and firm. Despite the overwhelming support to simply annihilate you from the galaxy, my leaders wanted to try diplomacy one last time. So, you are following orders? Her nephew asked slowly, a note of confusion and injury in his tone. Upset at actually talking to a soldier following another's direction. My orders are vague and loose on this matter. I am letting this talk play out because I want to see if my late brother thought we could have been friends, Kenji said back. Besides, your ships are a joke, and your war doctrine is... well, I wouldn't even bother with fighting even a small war with it. I see, her nephew said before standing up. I don't think I can sit and let insults and threats go unanswered. This negotiation is over, as it's clear that there is no topic you are willing to compromise on. Wait, no, she says, watching her nephew leave the room. Her eye turned to Kenji. Please, just give me a day or two to talk with him. He is young, prideful. It's okay. He isn't the person that can accept this deal. He is just the figurehead of these talks, Kenji said, his eyes locked on hers. She felt a bit uncomfortable with this assertion. She was a part of the Mother Council, but none should know of it, or their existence outside the nobles and royals. How do you know that? Kenji smiled a bit wider. Did you think espionage and subterfuge are things we didn't develop? He asked calmly. I see. My people have deeply underestimated your kind, she said with a sigh, and sat down, tapping her communicator to have her lieutenant jam her nephew's communications. So, what exactly does humanity want? The terms we set. Nothing more and nothing less. The bubble we chose will give us a border with your neighbors, yes, but we will not allow foreign militaries to travel our space, so you don't need to fear a sudden attack by the Varillas. And the table will be open to setting up trade and a more peaceful friendship, if your rulers listen closely to the Empress. Kenji said back as he sat too, his hands interlacing, and eyes observing her closely. She sighed again. Her people's ancient culture calls for them to listen to the Council of Women, but with the vast expansion into space, such traditions had fallen a bit short in the Greater Empire, as men more often served as their war leaders and commanders. With more and more young men having done away with those traditions, claiming that the women did nothing to expand the empire and were dependent on men. That is a hard sell. The Emperor may agree, but we will need something from your people, she says slowly. An army and trainers, Kenji asked, guessing accurately the conditions for the peace treaty. Yes, we seeded your kind for a reason, and you have shown your skill and merit in combat. A peace treaty without something for the Empire would only leave a bitter taste in the mouths of the nobility, she said back slowly, not happy that they seemed to be as aware as they needed to be to hold the higher ground in this deal. United Earth is willing to agree to a mutual defensive pact for the sum of the non-aggression pact, but will not hand over our population into slavery. But... Kenji pulled out a crude data storage device and handed it to her. These are our laws in regards to paramilitaries that your empire can hire at their discretion. They will fight as long as you pay them. Are you suggesting we hire out your people to fight as mercenaries? She asked slowly. The concept was not foreign to her, but was also the driving factor behind the seeding of races. Why hire when you can enslave? And if you are going to enslave, why not tailor their genetics to a purpose? The paramilitaries on that list are already in the process of helping with the expansion of our holdings, and will be more than happy to take payments in resources and goods that Earth will need in the near future, he said back, his tone calm and collected. Also, the first 5 are groups that have a strong code of conduct and honor, and are impossible to buy out. Such paramilitaries will happily serve as both bodyguards or revolutionists. She thinks it over. The core issue to the waning of the power of females is the tight control males have on the militaries of her empire. But humans paid to undermine or remove such troublesome individuals would strengthen the Mother Council's hold. I believe I can get this deal passed.